Now, on your Let's Play channel, are you going to be... Did you do that to kind of diversify from the content on your main channel and do new things? Like, are you going to play that game on your Let's Play channel? Or, excuse me, Guardians of the Galaxy in your Let's Play? Or is that going to be in your main channel?
So when I play games on the main channel, it's not a Let's Play. It's just like if we're going to discuss a certain thing, like what you're doing right here, I might, if I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm reviewing it and I'm streaming or something like that, I'll play it there. The Let's Plays I always just do on the Let's Play channel now because it's less confusing for people. And it's easier to not dilute my content. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's like a lower quality or tier of content, but it's a different audience. You know, like the amount of people interested in me bitching about some trailer for 10 minutes is very different than the amount of people who want to watch me play through the entire Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Right.
So that's a very core like niche audience there that wants that. You know, it's in a way it's like the people who pay for your channel membership or who go to Patreon or something like that. It's the
Right.
people who are like really into it.
Right.
To kind of compare it to movies, these are the people that'll watch like the extras menu, the bonus content, the behind the scenes stuff. So I'll be playing through it there, but if I do something where the game fits, I might do a stream on the main channel and talk about something. I always want those to be structured discussions. I don't want people to feel like when I upload that it's throwaway, and I know some people will feel like that. But like for example, I want every upload to me to feel special and not to feel like something I just put up. And the Let's Plays are not something I just throw up, but they are like part one, part two, I think I'm on like part 25 of Assassin's Creed 2. That would be so annoying to the audience who doesn't want to see that on my main channel. Like, it'd just be
Yeah.
obnoxious. I can't do that to them. So like
Right.
I had to split it off. And people think that talking about money is against terms of service. It's actually not. That's a misconception. That
Yeah,
Let's
it's
Play
not at
channel,
all.
I
There's
do it for
this
fun.
there's this YouTuber every year one of her most viewed video is how much money I made this year. She's like, I had this many views, I had this, and she just screenshots her YouTube revenue. So I
Mhm.
don't know why people think that, but
I
anyway,
don't know. People have thought that forever, and I was
I
just
don't
gonna
know why.
say, I make about $1,000 a year on the Let's Play channel,
Oh,
and
I thought you were gonna say a month, a year.
no, a
So
year.
that's a
Like,
passion project.
yeah, it's like $110 a
Okay.
month. But that's the thing is like I also run my main channel. Unlike you, I just do this because like I have a lot of problems too. Like I have bad depression issues and anxiety and stuff. I'm not saying that's like an excuse to not do something else, but I went from taking care of my dad because he passed away of terminal cancer, and working. I believe I worked like two jobs at the time and was a full-time college student and was like a nurse aide type caretaker for my dad at home.
Wow.
I went from doing all of that and YouTube on the side to like after he passed away and COVID hit, I was like, I hate all this. I not to get like super personal, but I was like, I hate my life. Like I realized like I hate my life. The only thing I'm doing that's enjoyable or fulfilling in any regard for work is like the stuff I put up because of the people I get to meet and talk to. Like meeting you, meeting Alex from
Right.
Podcast Now, like making friends and connections and stuff like that. This was
Yeah.
like the thing for me. I'm bound and determined to make it work at some point. Right now, pretty slow, but I do it because it's enjoyable and fulfilling on both channels. I guess it's just fun and it's humbling to learn from people.
Yeah.
It's very easy to double down and get mad when people correct you. When they're dicks about it, I think I still do sometimes, but it's crazy how much I've learned about video making and video games and behind the scenes stuff and people's lives and people I've met. Um, it's just unreal. That's why I do this. Well, that was way too in depth of a question or an answer. I'm sorry. Like we can move on
No,
to Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think that's great. I mean, from my perspective, YouTube, and I say this all the time, like YouTube has completely changed my life. I mean, in the most profound way, where, I studied history and political science in college, and, my parents didn't have any money for me to pay to go to college. My sister, she has cerebral palsy. She has a severe form of cerebral palsy, which is basically brain damage in development or during birth, essentially. So she was kind of born with her disability that she has, and she has limited movement and um, limited speech and that sort of thing. So she's had physical therapy, and she's been in and out of the hospital. I mean, for the last several years, she's been in and out of the hospital for weeks at a time, and that sort of thing. And as you can imagine, that's very expensive. That takes a toll on my parents. And I was always a good student and everything, but I didn't have any money. And YouTube, even though I wasn't making boatloads of money, it was for a 17-year-old, it was boatloads of money. When like Arkham Knight was out, and I was making, not bad for a 17-year-old kid, in addition to doing a part-time job. And, that has created a number of other opportunities in my life and really changed the trajectory of my life. Like, this YouTube channel has completely changed my life in every way, from the direction of when I started it when I was 15. And I started it all just because I was obsessed with this one Call of Duty YouTuber named XJaws, and I loved watching his videos all the time. And he inspired me to be a commentator. And when I first started doing my videos, I just emulated him. I just tried to do exactly what he did. And I did that for a long time. And now I've kind of done my own thing, and my relationship with YouTube is very interesting because there are times where I lose passion for it and it's difficult to maintain. And that's because it's very, very stressful and difficult to be a YouTuber. This is something a lot of people don't understand, but when you have a certain threshold, and once you start to rely on YouTube as like a part-time income, where it's paying your college tuition, or you're paying because your dad is sick and you need to help contribute to the bills and these sort of things, then it changes from being just a hobby you do for fun and something of like, oh, the money actually, helps. This is actually a thing, And it's not that it's all about the money, but it is something that is important and becomes something that you depend upon. And YouTube is an incredible channel and avenue because we spend so much of our lives working. I mean, you think about it, between age 22 to 65, what percent do people spend working? Easily 50% of their lives, right? We spend about 25% of our lives sleeping. We spend about 50% of our lives working. If we're working a typical Monday 9 to 5, if you're in school, that involves going to school in the morning and studying in the afternoon. If you're working, again, that's a 9 to 5 with a couple of weekends here and there. And 25% of your life is sleeping, 25% is leisure, 50% is work. So you damn well better enjoy that 50%, or you're going to have a hard time. And I think that's what you were noticing, is that you were doing a lot of jobs and you were doing a lot of different things, but you were doing them out of necessity and need because you needed to do those things, right? But it isn't always the most fun. And that's one thing about YouTube, is that it is something that can be fun. And then you start to do it and you realize, okay, it is still fun, but the idealized version of what you thought it would be is never there, because the reality of it is a lot of YouTubers are very stressed. A lot of YouTubers struggle. A lot of YouTubers, their peak is, they're riding high for 2 years and they're on the top of the world and they're getting crazy views and whatever, the views and subs are rolling in. And then for the next 3 years, they could just flatline and become irrelevant. And that's just something that you have to cope with. So anyway, this is all to say, how did we start talking about this? I don't know, but it's an interesting conversation. I like this.
It is an interesting conversation. It's very, it is very stressful. I try not to make too much of a big deal about that part. I should be able to talk about it, right? But the thing is, anytime I bring up something like that, I get the crowd where it's like, well, you should be grateful. It's not a real job. And like, what you do isn't really work. Like, anybody can sit around and play video games and like say something about them and stuff like that. And it's crazy because some of the people who think that, my wife has always respected what I do, but she didn't know how hard it was until, she started doing that with me, sitting down and being like, how do you talk? Like, how do you talk for an hour? Like, how do you talk about this without repeating the same thing over and over again? How do you provide something interesting to this conversation that 500,000 other people haven't already said? What makes what you say valuable? Stuff like that. I mean, people don't think about that. They also don't think about how douchey it is to tell someone that what they do isn't real. Like, imagine I don't like him as a person, like for his China antics and stuff, but imagine I go to LeBron James and I said, you play a children's game for fun. You don't have a real job. It's like, dude, do you think he would take me seriously for that? He's like one of the richest guys in America. Like, no way. No how. Or like in terms of athletes, like he's just paid insane amounts of money, to do this. And it's a children's game. Why do you watch it? You know what I mean? Why is there an audience for it? Why do people care? What he does is real. You got it. You can respect the hustle of what he does and how talented he is, even if you don't do it. I can't believe like that attitude, man. Like, I've seen it too. It's not just about YouTube. Like, I was a teacher, like I taught high school, People said the same thing. If you can't do, you teach. Like it's not a real job. People say that about my mom who teaches. People have said that about blue collar workers I know, like people like plumbers. Like it's not a real job, but my cubicle job is. It's like people have a really, really, really weird view of
Oh man.
what I do is most important, and everyone around me is just there. It's very odd. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you steer the conversation back onto the the prime topic before people run away because I'm monologuing. But it's weird, man.
Oh no, yeah, I think we're good. I'm seeing a couple of, well, actually, I saw one comment of people saying that we should start a podcast. So I think people are enjoying it, and the views seem to be going up. But no, yeah,
Well, that's good.
I think that's you're right, and a lot of that is rooted in jealousy too, because a lot of people there, it's always been a dream of theirs to be a YouTuber, and when they see somebody else who is successful in that, they can get a bit jealous. And then I remember thinking this too, like XJaws when he had like 800,000 subscribers and he quit. I remember thinking like, dude, you're so insane. Why would you quit with 800,000 subscribers? And the reality
Mm-hmm.
of it is, it's because it's hard to do something that you don't want to do. It's super hard when you're accountable to yourself. Now, if you have a job where a boss says you have to be here at this time or you get fired, that's one thing. That's easy because it's very clear cut what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
The boundaries are set. When you're accountable to yourself to do something that you no longer want to do, that's hard. That is hard to be motivated to do. And that, I guess, has been, it's again, with my channel, it's not that I've lost motivation. It is more that I guess I don't know, like I was really excited and so hyped about my channel when Arkham Knight had just come out because I was playing the game every day and there was this fun, active community around it. And now for the last several years, I'd say 2 to 3, I haven't had like a high level of motivation because one, my channel is a very particular audience. It's superhero video games, which is great. I love superhero video games. There's nothing wrong with that. But has there been anything in the last 2 years as it pertains to superhero video games that has been like exceedingly fun to play?
Not really, no.
Like, can I get on here and pretend that I'm hyped to play Avengers? No, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather just be honest and just say that I don't like the game.
Yeah.
I can't get on here and like pretend that I think it's fun, you know? So
Well, it's authenticity. Like you need to be authentic.
you
And
do.
also, it's a thing too where people forget you have another job that you do, and you've had jobs forever that you do and other work. And I think that too, not to speak for you, because you never said anything like this to me in DM. So I'm going to make that one like 100% clear. I'm not alluding to a
Sure.
conversation we had at all. But, I saw like when you did the same thing I did, but you did it, later. No shade there at all of like, hey, listen, I like Batman, but I want to focus on other stuff too. And there's a lot of pushback whenever you do that. And that's also frustrating and makes you feel like, at least if you're me, well, if you guys don't want to see anything except this one thing and there's nothing to do with it, what do you want? You just want nothing? Do I just disappear for a month at a time? People don't think about that stuff. They don't think about you as a person, obviously. And I'm not saying they even owe you that, but people think of YouTubers almost as a content machine. And that's
And
kind of,
look, I kind of understand it to some perspective because there
yeah.
are people that I was huge fans of in the early 2010s on the Call of Duty side of things. And I'm not watching their Let's Plays of other games. I'm not watching them talk about other shit. I come back and drop in when they have a Call of Duty video that interests me, talking about the latest game.
Mm-hmm.
I watch them 2 to 3 times per year, and then that's fucking it. And I think that is that's totally normal. That in YouTube,
That's
the
the
way
meta.
the algorithm is oriented, it is around getting a niche. Like people ask me all the time, they're like, how do I start a YouTube channel? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, one, you have to create a niche. And you can pretend all you want that you can be like, oh, I'm just going to make videos on everything. Like one day I'm going to talk about philosophy, and the next day I'm going to talk about video games, and the next day I'm going to talk about literature. And it's like, no, your channel will die and you will get so frustrated and pissed off and you will quit. Like you need to have, and then you get into the next level strategy of like what Graham Stephan does. Are you familiar with him, the finance YouTuber?
I know a little bit because you mentioned him before.
He has like 5 different channels. Like he has like Graham Reacts. He has like Graham Stephan Show. He has like all these fucking channels, and that's how you have to do it. So that's what I think I might start doing is just making like a bunch of different channels, and basically none of them are super successful because the real thing to do would be finding a niche and then just beating the shit out of that niche until
But
it's a
you
dead
get
horse.
so bored.
Of course you do.
You hate it. Like I'm not if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna hate it, I'm gonna do something else. Like it would, you know what I mean? Like something
Yeah.
that pays me. That's the thing is like I do this because it's fulfilling and fun. And people don't think about that though too. Like for example, your niche is really weird too. Like niches change in terms of what the algorithm values. If your niche is animation and then that algorithm change came about 10 years ago that murdered animation on the website, they don't care that you had a niche. Your channel's dead. You know, so
Yeah.
that's the problem is they tell you like find your niche, but if you do and then they murder it, you know, they just take it out back and old yeller the thing. You can't do anything either. And they do that sometimes.
They do,
So like
yeah.
for me, it's like my niche is pop culture. And I know that that's a little too broad for what YouTube is, but that's what I do. You know, like I do collectibles, I do video games, I do superhero stuff, and I do movies. And sometimes those things, you know, cross over with other things that I want to talk about. But that's like the thing, and that's why the Let's Play thing is on its own. It's why like I can release a Guardians of the Galaxy video on my main channel and it does well. But if I did a Let's Play of the game, there it would do horrible. It's not YouTube was not designed to be that way originally. It happened when Google took over and used it as a click farm, basically. That's kind of the problem with what's happened with that. Yeah, there's not really a way around it. I know for me, I probably caused some of my own problems because my niche is too broad. Like, for example, I have a video coming up. I'm actually going to grab it here real quick because I have it. Where I'm putting together, reviewing, and talking about this X-Men Transformer that I just got. I know this video is not going to do that well. I know it's not, but it's fun, you know, like, and I make those videos too that I want to, that I think are fun, that I don't think will do great. And maybe that's a dumb business move, but it's like to keep this fulfilling and fun for me, I have to do that.
And then it's that balancing act because it's like if you have too many low performing videos, then YouTube's like, oh, people don't like this guy anymore. We're not going to show their stuff. Like,
yeah,
oh man, his click-through rate is going down. He's not getting those views anymore. We need to stop showing his stuff. People don't like him anymore. And then you get frustrated, and then you go back to like your niche, and then you make videos on like this. You do like the same video you've done 10 times, and it does like 10 times above average. You're like, fuck, people only like me when I talk about this one thing. Like people don't even like me as a personality. And I feel like every YouTuber feels like that almost because unless you were an elite level YouTuber like PewDiePie or Moist Critical or one of these people, you can't just be coming on here like talking about whatever you're interested in one day. And that like you said, 10 to 15 years ago, that's what it was all about. It was all about the personality, like the YouTube personality. It was basically like every channel was like a vlog almost. And then gaming came in. It was a little bit more centered around what game you were in. So then like Call of Duty YouTubers emerged and like anime YouTubers came out and movie review YouTubers started coming out. And that was all the early 2000s, roughly around 2010. And since then, it's just been sort of propelled further down that direction. And one of the big things that changed is now watch time is such an important metric where it is better to do one video that's like an hour long that has high watch time than a bunch of smaller videos. So, you know, that's why you see these like video essay channels that do like hour and a half videos that are like highly script, basically documentaries. That's like the best thing to do for the algorithm because you get that high watch time, high view retention, high view duration, and they're going to boost your shit like crazy. If you have a video that's like an hour long with high watch time, that's kind of like the High Top Films model. And I like High Top Films. He's a cool guy. I've done a video with him on this channel, but that is a solid model that he's got going on there that is very, very effective. So
I will say the one thing I do have that most people don't have, and this is I don't know if you call it a privilege or a benefit or whatever, is time. Because like for me, again, not to like bring it back to this and be weirdly depressing, but it's just to give context. Like after my dad passed away, my mom has this big house and needs help with it and like needs help by herself too. Like she needed a emergency knee surgery, to like replace her entire knee and needed someone to live here. You know what I mean? And she needs another one actually within the next year. So it's like for me, I basically have to be here, like my wife and I anyway, at least for probably the next 2 years to help my mom, like just for
Right.
her health. And I wouldn't ditch her over that. You know what I mean? It's not, she doesn't have other kids. Like there's step kids she has. Like my dad had two kids when he was very, very young, when he was about 20.
Oh wow.
Um, and they were not with my mom because his first wife passed away. So like they are around, but like it's different, you know, and they live a ways away and stuff like that. So it's like for me, I have time to make YouTube work. You know, like it's crazy the amount of stuff you can accomplish in a couple of years. A year ago, well, I guess you'd say 2 years ago, I was literally no one on this platform. Like no one cared about anything I had to say because no one saw it. And now, yeah, I'll make a video and it'll get a couple thousand views sometimes, and I'll do you know, like horrible compared to other things. But you also look back at my channel. There's videos from a year ago at 500,000 views, still gaining views,
Yeah,
like top fives and stuff.
that's badass.
So it really depends. Like and does it make me feel bad sometimes? Like not to be over emotional? Absolutely. Like I made a video today. It was like, you know, like I said, the top five dead PlayStation franchises that need to come back. I thought like this is a banger. Like I put in like a ton of hours of editing to this. This is gonna do great. Did horrible. It's like I think it's below 2,000 views. That sucks. That feels bad. You know what I mean?
Either subscribe,
but I have
donate,
time.
or get the fuck
You
out.
know, like I have a couple years before I have to start thinking about doing more than just this again. So I don't know. Like I know that might be like a point of privilege or whatever you'd say, but I'm not too worried. But it certainly does stress me the hell out, like all the time.
Right, but broadly speaking, your channel is continuing to grow. I mean, you just passed you're past 80,000 now. Well, on your way to 100. You've got this game coming out. I imagine you'll do videos for that. That's going to do very well. By the way, Derek, thank you for the super chat, bro. Thanks for the $1. You've got this game. This is going to have some interest around it. You've got Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad, both allegedly coming out next year. That's going to do really well.
I'm going to be covering Evil Dead as well because I have done some horror reviews that have done well in the past, and I have fans of horror on my channel. So like a game like that, I'm definitely going to talk about. So yeah, there's a handful of games to talk about too, but it's weird because I love those videos, but the ones that like really are really fun for me, like just the most, are things like games you forgot about, where I go back and cover like a retro game or something. But I know that they're not going to do as well. But I also know they're like a higher tier of content. You know what I mean by that? Like, like a watercolor painting that's pretty versus like, you know, just like a masterpiece painted. I don't think my stuff's a masterpiece, but it's like a different tier. The rationalization you have to come to is knowing that the amount of effort and the quality doesn't equal a good video. There's people out here that are making videos 30 times better than you and me, no offense, that have 20 subscribers.
Yeah, facts.
That sucks. That's just real life too. I mean, that's how it works. There's artists who are homeless, who are like the next Vincent van Gogh, and they're homeless because no one cares, because they can't, they're not discoverable. You know, it's stuff like that. Like when parts of the system are rigged against you, the good thing is, like I said, if you have time, like I do, eventually you do break through, like you chip away at it a little bit at a time. The problem is that if you're in LA and you have, you know, this massive bill for living, and maybe you're thinking about starting a family and stuff like that, most people quit this out of necessity because they can't, they don't have time. It's, you know, it's a countdown and they're out of time. That's the rough thing with YouTube, is they almost expect you to be someone who lives at your parents' house, who just does YouTube all the time, so they can benefit from it, and they'll break you through in 5 years, but not before that.
Yeah, and the problem is they orient everything around the big creators. I mean, one with the algorithm. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but corporate / legacy outlets have more exposure, and they're boosted heavily in the algorithm. If you've ever noticed that, as Stephen Colbert and these other late night shows, as they become increasingly irrelevant and their viewership tanks up to 80% on television for whatever reason, you might see a lot of videos from SNL and, again, Jimmy Kimmel and Fallon and all the Ellen and like these shows that are, I mean, frankly, like not good, objectively just bad. I mean, they haven't been good for 10 years.
TV.
They're exactly like their viewership is plummeting,
It's
there.
like a tenth of what it was 10 years ago. It's crazy.
Exactly. But
It's dead, but then they have like a deal with YouTube, like you're saying, basically, where they just get pushed like crazy.
right, and it's like, wait, how are these people beating organic YouTubers that are like homegrown people on the platform? And that's because the platform is changing, and they're all about these corporate media outlets. And of course, this is the antithesis of what YouTube is all about. But as YouTube more money has moved into the platform, this has sort of happened. It's good and bad, but I think broadly speaking, it's made it very difficult to compete as a small creator. And this is how you have TikTok popping up, because it is easy. Like, dude, I posted my first TikTok and it got like 300,000 views. It's like, you could never do that on YouTube ever.
And it's a drug though with TikTok. Like I
It
was
is.
reading some stuff about their algorithm. They push like your first 5 uploads like crazy to keep you on the platform. And after that, it's the same thing.
Yep.
But like if you have a fresh account, it's very different. If you have a fresh YouTube account, guess who's seeing your video, even if you made the best one possible?
Fucking nobody.
Nobody. No one at all. And that's the thing,
Yeah.
is like when they're saying, like, let's be honest here, a part of you and me being even semi-successful on this is luck. Like we somehow broke through at some point, right?
Yep.
Something we did got noticed, and then something else we did got noticed because of that thing. And if we never did that first thing, maybe we never would have been noticed,
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing, is it's like, it's not about effort. It's about luck and playing the game and having time and uploading consistently, or at least over, periods of years almost. It's why I kind of feel like within 10 years, let's say this platform is going to be around forever, hypothetically, which none are. But let's just say it is. In 10 years, I don't know if you will be able to break through as a new creator at all. Like, unless people start dying, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
people who are uploading and there's all of a sudden, like a content drought, how would you break through? Like, you barely can now. You barely could 3 years ago. How will you in 10? I don't know. It's ruining the platform in a lot of ways. But, because some of these people have a lot to say that are nobodies. There's somebody in the comments section or in the chat here, I guarantee you, who has fantastic ideas for videos, who, if they had the money, the time, and the equipment, they can make fantastic stuff. At least one person down in that chat could. But would the algorithm ever push them through? If they made the same video I made today about Guardians, would it ever show anybody? Probably
Fuck
not.
No.
So
Hell
it's
no.
rough.
It's rough, and you've got to figure out how it works. Like, if I were starting a channel on, let's say Guardians of the Galaxy just came out, what you should do is do videos on like Easter eggs, because that can be something, if you're covering something nobody else is, versus if you do like a review or a reaction to the latest gameplay. Like, that's something you can only do when you're at the top of the algorithm. Which even me, like, I did videos on it, and because I haven't really posted consistently in honestly 2 years, but honestly more like 2.5. But certainly as it pertains to, the last 6 months, I've not posted shit. So I'm not at the top of the algorithm. That's why the stream has 80 viewers instead of 250 or 350. And my peak with when I was streaming Arkham, I would get 500 viewers a stream playing fucking Arkham Knight 3 years after it had been out. And, so that's really how the algorithm works. It's all about consistency and frequency, and it's really oriented around people that are doing it as their full-time job, which I am not. But I do think that all in all, YouTube is still fun. One thing I will say is that they are doing a better job about helping to monetize for other creators. And this is why, I rag about like super chats and how much they help. And that's because, like, it really does help a lot, because as a small creator, you're not really getting that much in ad revenue unless you're having a video that gets a couple 100,000 views. That's when, okay, you can make some coin on that. But on a regular basis for channels like Jay and I with 80K subs, you're getting, even say you're getting, 10, 15,000 views a video. It's not really anything. Like, for the amount of editing you're putting into that video, that's below minimum wage, 100%.
Oh yeah, I make below minimum wage in a year,
and that's with 80K subs, dude. Like,
yeah,
we're not talking if you have 10K subs. We're not talking if you have 40K. That's with 80K subs. You're making below minimum wage. Like, you don't start making money on this platform until you have 400, 500K subs.
Yeah,
You
and
gotta know that.
good.
I mean,
People don't know that. People don't know that at all, and they just think that we're really well off. It's interesting, because like, so, uh, if I show you something like this, can you read this like directly, or is it mirrored? I can't tell.
hold up, let me pull it up here.
Like on my phone, can you read like
Yeah,
what I
I
showed
can
you?
read it.
So okay, I put 10 hours of, I'm not kidding. Okay, so I played through the entire game to do this first off. Then I put in probably 6, 7, 8 hours of editing, somewhere in that area. About an hour into writing the script and an hour into recording it. So this is like a 13-hour video. Can you guess how much I made off of this video where I talked about what makes Metal Gear Solid as a series so special? Why does this matter to two people? This is a game, by the way, keep in mind, millions of copies sold across multiple entries. Guess how much money I made on that video?
How many views did it get?
It only got 1.4 thousand.
So you probably made what, $5?
Seven. But
Seven
yeah,
bucks.
and that's the thing. And you know what?
So that's less than, it's around 50 cents an hour.
For like a week after that, I was fucking pissed. I was like, I was seriously like talking to myself, and like my wife was like, "You can't quit." I was like, "I'm gonna fucking quit. These people don't like me. They don't value anything I do. Why am I giving them content if they're not even gonna watch it?" You know, and I was so angry. And then when I started looking at like the analytics, it was like it has nothing to do with my audience. They just won't show this to people. They just won't.
Yep.
Like, because
You got to build
it's
a
my
Metal
first.
Gear Solid channel, bro, and then they'll show it to
Yeah.
people. But yeah,
But that's the thing, is like I don't want to do that. And I totally get, to some extent people could say like, well, then you're making your own problem. But it's like, well, if I'm a pop
no,
culture channel, I
dude.
should be able to talk about pop culture. It shouldn't just be two things, you know?
Dude, I can't. The only niche that I can think of that I could sit here and talk about every fucking day is politics. And even then, I've been a political junkie since I was 8 years. I read political books when I was 7, 8 years old. My entire life, I've been always interested in politics. I love it. I studied it in college, everything. And even politics, dude. I think after like a year of doing it full time, I'd be like, all right, I want to make like a gaming channel now, you know? And
I
like,
think your hair
dude,
would go gray. You'd get
oh,
so
it would.
frustrated. Like if you were researching it even more than now, the world is
Yeah.
so insane. I feel like you'd become the most jaded person
Oh,
on the
totally.
planet.
Totally. But even so, as it pertains to, the way you have to subspecialize, you have to have all these different channels. And then it's like, even this channel, I say like, oh, it's a comic book channel. It's really not. It's really a superhero video game channel, because I've done videos on comic books. It gets no fucking views. I've done
Yeah.
videos on the most popular Batman stories ever told in graphic novel form. I've done videos on comic book movies, like the new trending comic book movie. And it's like, I'm not beating Jeremy Jahns or Chris Stuckman. You fucking kidding me? They're not showing my video to anybody, dude.
Nope.
They're showing the review of the latest superhero movie. They're picking from a pool the top 7 to 10 film reviewers. Again, Jeremy Jahns, Chris Stuckman, a couple of people in the 300 to 500K range. Mr. Sunday Awesome. You've got Angry Joe up there. Those are the reviews that, once you get through those, maybe they'll serve you something else. But realistically, they're not showing my video. But I am one of the biggest as it pertains to Arkham. Like, I'm at the top of that algorithm. So it's same with you. You're above me in that algorithm because of your consistency in the last 2 years. Like, if you put out an Arkham video right now, it's going to get it's going to get to 5,000 views fairly quickly compared to your other videos. So that's the way that the algorithm niches you down without you even trying to. And that's what happens, is that you just fall into it and you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, let me make some other videos and let me do some vlogs. It's like, oh, nobody liked that. Okay, I guess they want more of this. And then you go back to that. But it's not really per se the audience necessarily. Part of it is the click-through rate, and maybe people aren't clicking on it as much. But also it's because it's showing you to the audience that had watched your prior video. So for instance, let's say I release a Batman Arkham video and 1,000 people watch it. Then I release a video of me playing Call of Duty. It's going to show to that same 1,000 people that watched Arkham. It's not going to find 1,000 different people that are Call of Duty fans. It's going to find the people that are Batman Arkham fans, and it's going to serve them Call of Duty, and they're not going to click on it. And they're going to say, oh, look, the click-through rate is so low. Nobody's clicking on this video, so we're not going to serve it to anybody. And then you go back
Yeah.
to your bread and butter, and they're like, oh my God, everybody's clicking on this. This is a great video. Everybody loves it. And then you have watch time. Here's the problem with watch time. Sorry, I'm like rambling so hard right now.
I think the analytics are good for people to know. I mean, like we've broken down Guardians, and I'm sure we'll answer a couple more questions and stuff about
Sure.
it. But this is interesting, I think.
I agree. So with watch time, here's the problem with watch time. Both YouTube and Facebook and TikTok, they're all oriented around watch time primarily. YouTube, it's different. It's click-through rate and watch time, but all the other platforms, it's almost all watch time. And the problem with watch time is that it doesn't actually reward good content. Let me give you an example. I was watching a video on Facebook the other day that was going viral. It had like 30 million views. And I'm watching it, and you know when your car is parked and somebody gives you a ticket and they like put a boot around your tire and they basically lock it in place, you can't drive away. It's like this little iron thing that they clip to your wheel, like a parking attendant could. You got to pay them $50, then they'll take it off. So it's a way to ensure that you pay the bill. So it's this little like metal rod on your wheel, and you literally can't drive unless you get it taken off. So this guy is giving a tutorial, and it's a 3-minute video, which is the minimum amount of monetization that you need on Facebook. And it's a 3-minute video, and it's called How to Remove a Tire Iron Boot. And it's literally this metal rod that is tied to your tire, and it's like there's no way that you can get this off. I mean, you need a key. It's the only way to get it off. So I start watching this video, and the watch time was probably amazing. Why? Because you're watching it. He's like painting the tire. It's like, what the fuck is he doing? What is painting gonna do? Then he like puts a boot in between the little fucking rod and then the wheel. And it's like, what is that doing? And then he starts like putting food in it and shit. And then the video just ends. And he doesn't show you how to do what's in the title. And all the comments are like, I just wasted 3 minutes of my life. I just wasted 3 minutes of my life. This is the dumbest video I've ever seen. But guess what? You watched the entire thing, didn't you? We all fucking watched the entire thing. And therefore, they're going to promote that video to everybody because they're like, oh my God, everybody was watching this for so long. The retention's so high on it. Like, we need to show this to everybody. And that's why if you create a video with some clickbait hook and it's like, watch till the end of the video and you're going to find out. And then you just like make the video 20 minutes long, place 17 mid-rolls in, and you fucking make, so there's so many flaws in the system, but for whatever reason, they don't realize these things. And it creates a flawed system that's not truly a meritocracy. There is a lot of like, if you know how to play the system, you know how to play the system. And then part of it is you can know how to play it and not want to do it because the audience can kind of see it. It's kind of slimy and scummy. But a lot of YouTubers have been very successful. And then there are YouTubers like Moist Critical who are like, they play it straight by the book. They don't clickbait at all. They're just like, they're born for this shit. They're just entertaining as fuck. They get on screen and they're just instant entertainers. And I'm not in that camp by any means. I'm not like particularly funny. My commentary is not particularly insightful or interesting. I'm just a guy that was inspired by other YouTubers that I like to watch, and now I just fucking have a microphone, so I get to talk. But I don't really, but some people are just gifted entertainers. That's not, most people, though. That really isn't most people. Like, that's like, we're talking the PewDiePies of the world, of people that are just gifted, hilarious entertainers and personalities.
Well, I know you were not digging for a compliment, but I like your content very much, and I do think it is insightful. Are there people that do, better content than you and me? Like I said, yeah, absolutely. Not everybody would argue that, but
yeah,
people still come to your channel, and there's a reason for it. I think there's an audience for like just that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a normal, average guy who talks and has average, not insane opinions. Who can speak for people sometimes. Like I can't tell you the amount of times where I've had someone say like, hey, listen, this got 100,000 views. There's no way like that a developer didn't see this. And I've been thinking this for years. I'm glad you got it out there, stuff like that. Like just sharing your opinion and maybe someone sees it. There's a market for that, I think. Now,
again,
I mean,
I've had devs at both of the forthcoming games DM me, compliments on a video. They'll like include a link to the video, like, hey, great thoughts in this, or it like one of them was like top 5 things to include in this game, and developers from the game have like, hey, great thoughts, really, enjoyed this video and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that's really cool. That is really cool.
Be prepared for that to stop now if it was WB since I was on here. I don't think they like me very much anymore. I was very negative about the Gotham Knights marketing And
Oh
after
well,
that,
yeah, yeah. Once you're negative, you're out.
yeah, you're out.
You've got to
Like
be you got to be the cheerleader, or you're not getting invited. And they don't invite me anywhere either. I mean, they've never invited me anywhere.
it's just
Um,
it's just funny because like they were like all gung ho, like, oh hey, like you should talk about fandom and you should do this and that. And now I haven't heard from anybody in like a year, since I was almost a year since I was negative in like two videos about like the marketing strategy and just said like, hey, this is not how you market a game. It's like, okay, goodbye. It's just
dude,
funny to me.
it
Like,
is funny. They want you like the incentive is just to be a cheerleader. If you keep your head down and like, oh my god, guys, they released a new still. It looks
yep,
amazing.
that's why
And
everyone's fake on here.
uh
That's why everyone's fake on YouTube. Not like
yeah.
everybody, but like, you click through, if you looked up Gotham Knights news, like no offense to anyone who's made it, but how many people are you going to click on who pretend they're interested that aren't? You know? I mean,
Right.
there definitely are people making videos on that or on COD who have been bored of it for years or any of this stuff. Because yeah, you're supposed to be a cheerleader. You toe the company line, you're the company man. And if you step out of that role, even though you're not paid by the company, fuck you. It's it's real weird.
It's super weird, dude. And but people do buy into it because yeah, I mean, is it cool to get flown to the Warner Brothers lot out in Los Angeles and fucking hang out with developers and get a tour of a studio? Sure, but is it cool to be a fucking sellout where your audience, here's where it's scummy. Sometimes the audience knows that you're a sellout, and then that's one thing. Then it's like, okay, you're gonna take heat for that. That's kind of like the direction that like T Martin was in the Call of Duty community. Everybody knew he was just a shill. But
yep.
then there are the times where people don't even know. They don't even know that you're actually selling out, and they don't realize that. And is it really interesting to anybody if you're covering a game and you have nothing critical to say? If just everything like, oh yeah, this is so awesome. I'm so excited for this. Oh my God, this is so great. I'm so excited for this. Anything that comes out that's terrible, I'm just not going to talk about that. We'll just skip that. We'll wait for the next good thing. We'll wait for the next good DLC. Or it's like something terrible happens or comes out and you downplay it. It's like doing
Yep.
PR control. It's like you realize that you're doing PR recovery for a company that doesn't even pay you shit. They
That
pay,
barely knows you exist.
yeah, yeah. And is that worth it? Is it worth your audience either knowing you're a shill or just not having that genuine connection with them because subconsciously you're focused on selling out to get the access? And it's
Well,
just like
even if your
politics.
audience,
It's the same way politics works. It's
yeah, even if
literally
your audience
exactly the same.
doesn't, yeah, and even if your audience doesn't know, like if you started doing that right now, like I don't know if you give a shit about this at all, but Power Rangers. Let's say Power Rangers blew up overnight. It's the biggest thing in the world, and you start covering it. You don't care about it at all. Even if people don't know that, and you get flown out, and you meet like the Red Ranger and all this crap, and you get to sit in the Megazord, and you're like, I don't care about any of this. Yeah, you got a ton of money. Is it worth it? I don't know. I guess that's something you have to decide. You and I have had that conversation before, like where people will pick like high risk jobs too that pay a ton of money and aren't fulfilling too, like to try and work their way up in order to just get a ton of money because they think that'll make them happy. And some people, money does make them very happy. I think there's a difference between fulfillment and happiness. But, Irigen pointed this out too about someone I'm not going to name. On Twitter, it was a big thing and I retweeted it. It was a joke about the Flash meeting Michael Keaton in a certain thumbnail that never happened, and just how it had hundreds of thousands of views and it was obviously fake. And this, creator does that kind of stuff all the time, in my opinion, where it's like, just, I'm going to doctor up a photo here that's not real and, speculate about something unrelated. And now I have a million views. People do that. They sell their soul for money and they think it's worth it. Do I? Well, I wouldn't have uploaded that less than 2,000 video or view PlayStation video, I guess, if I did.